question I've been getting a lot lately is, how old is Henry? Actually, I've been getting this question for a really long time, and it's kind of hard to come to a conclusion on this topic because there's really no solid evidence as to Henry's age. As we saw in Chapter 1, he falls from a really great height. Actually, he falls from a really great height in Chapter 1, in Chapter 3, and he gets knocked out in Chapter 2, and he's just fine at the end of everything. So what is up with that? Two things that we know for sure is that 1, Henry started a cartoon studio with Joey Drew, and 2, they stopped working together about 30 years prior to the events of the game. So what we can estimate is a sort of minimum age that Henry could be. Let's just do a little thought experiment. Considering that Henry and Joey had the maturity to start a sort of business together, what age could they have been at the time when they did that? Now, when people ask me this question, in the comments I always tell them that Henry probably started off in his 20s at the latest, same as Joey Drew, although either of them could have been older, either of them could have been younger. Let's just use 20 as the baseline. That means 30 years later, Henry would be around 50 years old. Considering what he goes through in the studio, it's kinda crazy that he's lasting through all of this. Now that being said, 50 is not a super old age. You do not just become a brittle pile of bones and dust when you age, but aging takes a toll on your body, and if you fall several floors to the ground, you are definitely going to sustain some kind of really serious injury at that age. Now that being said, we don't know what kind of lifestyle Henry led. He could have been some sort of athletic freak, and that would definitely affect everything here. What we can agree on is that there is an acceptable range, despite all of the shenanigans that Henry goes through with all of the crazy cartoon chases, with all of the falling, with all of the injuries, with all of the waiting through that crazy, possibly toxic ink. We can all agree on one thing, and that is that there is a range of ages that Henry could be. Now, the time period in which everything is taking place is also a huge topic of debate as well. We know that there are huge 1930s influences. In fact, the developers have actually admitted to that. However, without knowing for sure, it's hard to make an estimate on what age Henry could be. And the reason I'm saying this is because the highest age that he could be would probably be around 110. This is around the age that the oldest people in the 1960s lived up to. So that would narrow things down to 50 years old to 110 years old. And let's be honest, what 110-year-old is actually going to survive the things that we've seen around here? I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong here, because there could be a 100-year-old person or a 110-year-old person or a 200-year-old person in some place that we don't know of who is a superhuman. But considering that it's hard enough to believe that Henry could survive all the stuff that he's been through, up until Chapter 3, as a 50-year-old alone, it's pretty unlikely. It kind of gets you thinking about Joey Drew's age as well, because Joey Drew kind of looks like a person of power at the studio, even power over Henry. After all, in Henry's secret recording, he does say that Joey takes more than he gives. And this might be the reason why Henry might have betrayed Joey 30 years ago. Tap this video to find out why. Or check out these videos which were picked just for you. If you're new, tap my face to subscribe and to tap that bell for more bendy and horror game theories that actually make sense. And prodigies, I hope these videos help to expand on how you think. See ya!